In this tutorial, we're going to look at inserting hyperlinks into our web pages. Again, if I just look at this web page at the moment, I can see we've already put in an image, we've got a heading at the top, and we've got a horizontal rule underneath the heading. In this example, I'm just going to put the hyperlink in here in this area, underneath the heading, above the horizontal rule. Now, if I go back to my code, and underneath the heading, above the horizontal rule is just in that space there. This link, it's going to be a text on the web page, so I'm going to put it in a paragraph tag and put in an end paragraph tag underneath it. And so I'm going to put in the link in between those two paragraph tags. Up until now, all of the different tags that I've introduced you to are onomatopoeic in that I can sense, based on what type of tag it is, what the actual tag name is going to be. So for instance, a paragraph tag is a P, a heading 1 tag is a H1, an image tag is IMG, and so on. With a hyperlink, it's slightly unusual in that the actual tag is an A, standing for anchor. And that's just something we have to remember. So, anchor tags are links. Now, just in the previous tutorial, I introduced you to the idea of the image tag. And if I just revisit that again briefly, we saw that the image tag was here, but inside the image tag we had to put in this item called an attribute, and that was to give the browser a better description of what the image tag was about. It's the same thing with the anchor tag. I have to tell the browser where the browser needs to go when the user actually clicks on this link. That information isn't contained in the anchor tag by itself. I have to put in an extra attribute. And the attribute that we need is called the href attribute. href standing for hypertext reference. Again, comparing the syntax of what we used for the source attribute and the image tag, I can see you have to name the attribute, you have to put in an equal symbol after it, and then you have to put in the value that you want to set that attribute to. In the href attribute and the anchor tag, I have to put in the equal symbol, open quotes, and then I have to decide where it is that I want this browser to go when somebody clicks on this hyperlink. Generally, I have two different options. One option is that the user can click on this link and it will go to some web page out on the internet on some other server than the server that my page at the moment is currently stored on. The second option is actually to click on the link and it just goes to another file on my server or another web page that is part of this website. Let's deal with the first option. Going to another page somewhere else out on the internet. Well, I need the web address, and that's what I'm going to type in here. Just be careful anytime that we're thinking of the web address. If I switch into my browser view and I look at the address bar, generally when people talk about web addresses to each other, we generally say things like www. We put in the actual domain name and everybody knows what the address is. Be aware that most times we look into the address bar, we have this code in front of that web address as well, and it's http://. The HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol, but that is the full web address, and that's the web address that I'm going to use here. So I'm going to take the full domain name and the HTTP. I can type it in if I want, but in this case I'm just going to copy and paste. So http:// and then the www. And the domain name. That's the web address that I want the browser to visit once somebody clicks on this link. So that's the href attribute completed. I put in an angle bracket. The item that's going to be here between the start anchor tag and the end anchor tag is the text that I want to display on the web page to the user who's actually viewing the web page in the browser. To help the usability of the website, we should keep it relevant to whatever the link points to, and also that will help our search engine optimization as well. So in this case, I'm just going to put in the name of the newspaper that this link is pointing to. That this link is pointing to, and also I'm just going to close off the link by putting in an end anchor tag. It's very important that we put in this end anchor tag. If that anchor tag isn't there, then everything after the start anchor tag the browser will presume is part of the link, and everything will be hyperlinked. So we have to close off that link by putting in an end anchor tag. I'm going to save that file, and then I'm going to go back to my browser and I'm going to refresh. And I can see the link popping up here. Generally, links, if I don't tell the browser otherwise, it will be colored blue and it will have an underline underneath it. And again, this is a usability feature of HTML just to help draw the user's attention to what the different links are. As soon as I hover over the link, I can see my mouse change from a black arrow to a white hand. And then, if I click on that link, I should move to the website that the web address pointed to. Now I want to deal with clicking on a link that brings us to another web page that's part of the website. In that case, presuming that the other page is in the same folder as this page that I'm working on here, all I need to do is just name that page. Now in these sets of tutorials I haven't created a second page yet, but I intend to, and I might know what that page is going to be called. So for let's say I know that the next page that I'm going to create for my website is going to be an about page. I'm going to call the file name about.html. Well, in my href attribute, I can just set the value of that attribute to the name of the file, which is about.html. Also, I'll need to change the text that appears to the user to keep it relevant, so the users know what they expect to see when they click on the link. If I save that file and I go back to my browser and I'll refresh it, I can see my about link. Now, what we would expect to happen if the about.html page existed in the folder, if I clicked on it, I would just see that page. That page doesn't exist yet. So if I click on this link without that file existing, I'll just get a file not found error in my browser. But once I create the about.html page, it will go to the about.html page. We'll see this in action in the next tutorial in the series.